Treason.
And I'm Nadia Shebang.
And today we're going to do something very exciting. Today we'll be interviewing RedBone and Foxy Tann about the history of the Nudie Nubies show, An Amateur Reveal.
Well done.
How did the two of you get together to start Nudie Nubies? Like, what did this look like when this came, when it was conceived? What did this look like?
Show up with your music, get on stage.
Literally,
like, actually, it started in a conversation with Victoria DeVille and Foxy Tann, and Professor Honeybunny. And for those that don't know, that's Foxy Tann's husband.
And Victoria DeVille is a drag queen based out of Minnesota.
Yes. TT Vicky, I like to call her. She's the one who started teaching me my drag race. But yeah, they had a conversation. And they pulled me in. They were like, so we're going to do this thing. Do. And I'm just like, okay, I'm listening. You know, I'm pretty quiet. I like to listen a lot first. And then we did our first show on April something or other of 2013.
Yep.
And at the Townhouse. And just as I'm like watching it, of course, I'm silently taking notes. And I'm like, we need a spreadsheet. So I love a good freestyle, but that was really rough on me.
So it's obviously evolved, and now y'all are in different cities, continuing to evolve. Where do you want to see this go?
Well, since we franchised one, and it's super successful in San Francisco.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Obviously, we're speaking of everything pre-COVID. So we were looking at having a total of 4 or 5 shows going throughout, and then we were like getting down to the nitty gritty of like the ultimate reveal.
Right.
And having a nationwide thing. But so now, COVID, that obviously all stopped, but then it's like, well, we can go absolutely anywhere because of Zoom.
Right. God, I'm just thinking, 2013 is your first show. You've been producing this show for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's a good number.
I don't know if there is another burlesque amateur show that has run that long in the United States. Like,
It's a great question.
yeah, but quite possibly you two have conceived, produced, and made the longest running amateur burlesque competition in the United States.
Quite possibly.
Like, how do you, when you sit with that, like, what are the feels?
It just makes me feel really old.
Oh my gosh. Legit. I don't know. It's pretty cool. You know, I feel like it's always been, and I probably learned this, like, you know, Foxy's like my sister from another mister, my mentor, and now, you know, we're getting to equal space in longevity. We started at the same time, but right, like, she taught me so much as I was coming up. And so I think, you know, more is more. We were never about gatekeeping. It was all about opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And a way to continuously educate through the platform of performing. And so people learning how to turn their music in on time, fill up Google forms, things like, and that's like, I mean, that became I think kind of a mission of mine, like as I'm like the A-type organizer. Like I was a lot, like for a long time Foxy was the only MC and I was learning to MC.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very background, so I was kind of like the background producer, stage manager, essentially the roles that y'all take now in Nudie Nubies, and so the organization, educational aspect from behind, not just the performing for a live audience, which yes is important, but also like the professionalism that comes along with it in terms of organizing your burlesque life.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then now we're also, like you said, we're also being able to teach producers the bare minimum for producing a show, just out in the world. And now every one of you are going to take that knowledge, and that's how you're going to produce from now on and keep adding on to that. So it's like,
I can definitely speak to that. I started as a kitten for Nudie Nubies. I competed in Nudie Nubies. I was a decent enough kitten that they let me stick around, and now I'm the show producer for the Twin Cities Nudie Nubies.
No, I think it's interesting though, because we've talked about, you know, giving advice to new performers and like, what can you do? Like, what's your one piece of advice? But, you know, for the community overall, the one piece of advice is to be involved. You learn so much from just, you know, doing these shows and showing up, and like, the people you surround yourself with will teach you the way, I think.
You've essentially helped create a burlesque training camp. Like,
it's the real world.
Apply for the Nudie Nubies show. They'll teach you basic how to be in a show.
Yep.
Because there's more to burlesque than just getting out there on stage if you want to pursue and do things.
Yes. And the other thing that I like about Nudie Nubies, or it was really important to me, was that it was low stress.
Yeah.
Like that it wasn't like, you know, people, you know how backstages can get, and it gets, you know, and if people get too serious about the competition and all that stuff, like, and that's so crazy. They didn't even used to give out prizes. I was like, they don't need no prize.
Exactly, it was really funny. It's really funny. She's like, no, it's the joy of winning, and they have it competitions in general. It's all what you make it. Like, if you, sure, you can have a goal to win, and like, you know, so to have something, a goal to achieve, right? Like, it's a benchmarker for self, but not to compare. You know? But in general, I mean, that translates to any competition. Sure. So this is our Nudie Nubies competition. So you're also learning how to navigate larger scope competitions, and really, you know, kind of keep centered around that of what is your goal and what do you want it to make? What do you want to make it? It becomes a platform if you make it a platform.
Exactly, and also dealing with rejection. Which is a hard, I mean...
Where do you learn that?
Where do you learn that?
I teamed in on something that you brought up, and I think that it'd be good to like suss it out and maybe talk about it a little more. You mentioned gatekeeping. And I think, could you expand, both of you, a little bit more about how Nudie Nubies, if it does help combat gatekeeping in burlesque communities, or is there a role for Nudie Nubies in that?
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's where it is. I mean...
And how it is.
And how it is. We're completely neutral.
Yeah. It was really imperative to keep neutrality, because there's camps.
There are cliques. I mean, and there are, when we started, there were a bunch of different camps and a bunch of different schools.
Nudie Nubie is one of the, just get out, it gives us an opportunity to just get out there and do it. If you don't want to go to the school and you just want to get out there and do the damn thing and just give it a shot.
Those are some of my favorite competitors.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, I'm going to go do this now.
Oh my god, it is the most fun to see someone that's like, I watched Burlesque the movie, and I'm like, yeah, you fucking
Get it.
did. Great.
Well, or the performance artists that show up.
They're amazing.
You know, some really fucking weird shit has
There's
happened
no
on
lack
that
of
stage, and I love it.
There's no prerequisite. There's no like, you have to have completed a B1 or a...
No, that's the point.
Right.
That's exactly the point. And so there's no gatekeeping, right? There's like you don't get to do your recital unless you go through this entire class, or you don't end up in this show unless you're at a quote unquote certain level. So how is somebody who's brand spanking new supposed to get any fucking stage time and get any better? So then it's like we were trying to grow the burlesque community, and it was really stagnant. Like, people weren't able to like climb the ladder or whatever, or get better in terms of their performance and grow as an artist. Nobody had the opportunity to perform because you had to be in a certain clique to get into a certain show, or you know, or a certain class to be able to be let perform at a recital. And we were just like, open the doors, come on in.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful. You've kind of defined the first rung of that ladder. And expanding this show is going to give that first rung to all these other cities, and I think everyone will use it. I hope so.
I think most performers you talk to in the Twin Cities, and I'm sure will be soon in the San Francisco Bay Area, and wherever Nudie Nubies extends to, like, where'd you get your start? Nudie Nubies.
Absolutely.
I started at Nudie Nubies, so
yeah. Yay! I recommend it.
Start at Nudie Nubies.
Makes us happy.
Yeah, it's what you're building is history. Like, you are creating paths for people to express themselves, and that is important.
We're saying you're old.
Yeah, you're
That's happening. That's real.
It's real. Hey, it's real.
I've been petty Betty Treason.
And I'm still Nadia Shebang.
Foxy Tann.
RedBone.
Thank you so much for your time
Thank you so much.
and your knowledge. Yeah, Nudie Nubies, coming to a city near you.
Interwebs!
I was
Internet!
like, Nudie Nubies, coming to the internet near you.